What if the single greatest threat to your future independence isn't a heart condition or joint pain, but a silent, invisible process happening inside your head right now? We're talking about cognitive decline, the slow fading of memory, clarity, and focus that many people accept as an inevitable part of aging. But what if that acceptance is the biggest mistake you could ever make? A groundbreaking study jointly conducted by neurologists at Harvard Medical School and the MIT Age Lab in 2024 followed 10,000 adults over the age of 65. The shocking finding? Those who dedicated just 10 minutes a day to 5 specific targeted movements that have nothing to do with traditional cardio or weights, exhibited a brain biological age that was, on average, 15 years younger than their sedentary counterparts. We're talking about reversing the mental clock, not just slowing it down. Imagine being 75, but thinking, learning, and recalling information like a vibrant 60-year-old. The key is simpler than you think. It's not a pill, and it's not a complex puzzle. It's about leveraging a mechanism in your brain called neuroplasticity. And in the next 10 minutes of targeted instruction, I'm going to reveal the exact 5 exercises that Harvard scientists are calling the future-proof framework for your mind. These movements are easy, require no equipment, and will fundamentally change the way you view mental fitness. Stay tuned, because the #1 exercise on this list is so effective, researchers believe it can boost your memory recall by over 40% in just 6 weeks. Before we dive into the exercises, we need to understand the science behind why they work. Your brain is not fixed. It is constantly reorganizing itself by forming new neural connections. This is called neuroplasticity. When you learn a new skill or challenge your brain in a novel way, you strengthen these connections. But to build and maintain these connections, the brain needs fuel and building blocks. The most crucial building block is a protein known as BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as the miracle grow for your neurons. It promotes the survival of existing neurons, encourages the growth of new ones, and increases the strength of synapses. Without high levels of BDNF, your brain atrophies, much like a muscle left unused. Traditional exercise, like walking, is good, but it primarily boosts cardiovascular health. These 5 exercises are different. They are classified as neurobics, aerobics for your nerves, designed specifically to challenge the brain's coordination, balance, and dual-tasking abilities. It is this novelty and complexity that dramatically spikes the release of BDNF, far beyond what simple repetitive movements can achieve. These movements force your brain to engage in cross-lateral neural firing, demanding synchronization between your left and right hemispheres. The more your 2 brain halves talk to each other, the faster and clearer your thinking becomes. Ready to activate your neural fountain of youth? Let's start the countdown with exercise number 5. Don't forget to hit the like button and tell us in the comments if you've ever felt brain fog. We are reading every response. Exercise number 5 is the cross-crawl progression. This movement is deceptively simple but profoundly effective. Your brain is organized into 2 hemispheres, and the corpus callosum, a large bundle of nerve fibers, is the superhighway connecting them. In people experiencing cognitive decline, this superhighway often becomes less efficient. The cross-crawl acts as a systematic traffic regulator, forcing both sides of your brain to coordinate for a single task. A study published in the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience found that participants who routinely performed crossing the midline exercises showed a measurable increase in the efficiency of the corpus callosum after just 8 weeks. This translated directly into a 25% improvement in their ability to process and switch between tasks. How to perform the cross crawl, level 1. Stand tall with your feet shoulder width apart. 2. Slowly lift your right knee and simultaneously bring your left elbow across your body to meet or point toward the knee. 3. Lower and repeat on the opposite side. Left knee meets or points toward the right elbow. 4. The key is slow, controlled movement. Do not rush. This is not about speed. It's about neural precision. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions on each side. The progression, level 2, the eye tracking challenge. Once level 1 feels easy, increase the BDNF spike by adding an eye tracking element. As you bring your left elbow to your right knee, try to keep your eyes focused on your left hand or a fixed point to the left. This forces your brain to manage kinesthetic movement and visual tracking simultaneously, engaging different cortical areas. This dual demand is what ignites the neuroplastic effect. Focus on generating a feeling of newness in the movement. If it feels easy, you're not challenging your brain enough. Next, we move to exercise number 4, the single leg stand with eyes closed progression. When you lose your balance, your brain is immediately flooded with a distress signal. This exercise trains your brain to maintain stability even when visual cues are removed. It's often called the imagination balance because your brain has to rely entirely on internal sensors. The vestibule system in your inner ear, which controls balance, often deteriorates with age. But this exercise forces the sensory input from your joints, proprioception, to step up. Neurologists at Johns Hopkins found that older adults who incorporated this balance challenge 3 times a week reduced their risk of falls by a staggering 68%, not because their legs were stronger, but because their brain was quicker to correct itself. Furthermore, the act of maintaining stability heavily recruits the prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive control center, improving decision-making and focus. How to perform the single leg stand, level 1. Stand next to a sturdy wall or the back of a chair for light support if needed. Lift 1 foot an inch or 2 off the ground. Hold for 10 to 15 seconds. Ensure your standing knee is slightly soft, not locked. Repeat on the other side. The progression, level 2, removing the anchor. Now for the brain-boosting challenge. Close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you remove 80% of your stability input, forcing your inner ear and brain to work overtime. Try to hold the pose for 10 seconds. You will likely sway violently. This is your brain frantically forming new neural pathways to maintain your center of gravity. Over time, that swaying will diminish. The goal is to reach 30 seconds with your eyes closed. This single exercise, according to researchers, is one of the most reliable indicators of long-term cognitive health. Exercise number 3 is the auditory kinesthetic dual task challenge. Working memory is your brain's ability to hold on to a piece of information and manipulate it mentally. It's what you use to follow multi-step instructions, do mental math, or recall where you parked your car. It is one of the first mental functions to decline. Researchers from the University of California, Irvine, UCI, studied how to rebuild working memory. They found that combining a physical task with a simultaneous mental calculation created a cognitive load that stimulated new cellular growth in the brain's hippocampus, the memory center. This is far more effective than just doing mental math while sitting down. How to perform the dual task challenge level 1. Stand tall, or if you prefer, sit in a sturdy chair, level 1. Begin a slow, rhythmic movement. This could be marching in place, slow calf raises, or a gentle modified squat. Simultaneously, begin a mental subtraction task. Start at 100 and count backward by sevens. 100, 93, 86, 79, and so on. Focus on maintaining a consistent rhythm with your physical movement while performing the mental task. If you pause the physical movement to think, you've broken the exercise. The progression, level 2. Increasing the speed and complexity. To ramp up the BDNF release, increase the challenge. Move to level 2. Perform the exercise while standing on a softer surface, like a thick rug or a yoga mat. This introduces a slight balance challenge. Change the mental task to something more complex, like reciting the alphabet backward while assigning a number to each letter. Z equals 1, Y equals 2, X equals 3. This exercise forces your brain to manage two distinct neurological pathways simultaneously, which is the exact training needed to combat the scattered feeling of brain fog. Our runner-up, exercise number 2, is the simplest but perhaps the most uncomfortable, the opposite hand dexterity drill. If you are right-handed, you will use your left hand. If you are left-handed, you will use your right hand. Your brain is a creature of habit. Every time you perform a routine task, your brain uses the same efficient, deeply grooved neural pathways. To build new gray matter, you must introduce novelty and frustration. Using your non-dominant hand forces your non-dominant brain hemisphere, which controls the non-dominant hand, to take charge. This immediately stimulates a massive growth of new temporary synapses to figure out the unfamiliar motor task. This process is the purest form of neuroplasticity. How to perform the opposite hand drill. 1. Set a timer for 5 minutes. 2. Get a pad of paper and a pen. 3. Using only your non-dominant hand, perform one of the following tasks. Write a brief journal entry, 2 to 3 sentences, about your day. Draw 5 simple geometric shapes, circle, square, triangle, spiral. Or attempt to sign your name. The movement will feel clumsy and awkward. This is the goal. The friction and effort are the neurological sparks. You should feel mentally exhausted after just 5 minutes. Scientists found that subjects who committed to this drill 3 times a week for a month showed not only better dexterity in their non-dominant hand, but also significant improvements in divergent thinking, the ability to generate creative solutions. This proves the mental pathways you build cross over into other cognitive functions. And now the moment you've been waiting for, the number 1 exercise, the one that the Harvard and MIT study identified as the most powerful for reversing cognitive aging and increasing lifespan markers by a remarkable 42%. The focused diaphragmatic breathing with subtle spinal movement progression. This movement is the ultimate anti-aging tool because it targets the most fundamental process in the body, oxygenation and stress reduction. Stress, regulated by the hormone cortisol, is a potent neurotoxin. chronic high cortisol literally shrinks the hippocampus, your memory center. The most powerful way to signal to your body that it is safe and to drop cortisol is through controlled breathing. When you breathe deeply into your diaphragm, belly, you stimulate the vagus nerve, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and digest mode. This instantly boosts blood flow and oxygen to the brain while eliminating the neurotoxins of stress. Furthermore, combining this breathing with subtle spinal movement improves circulation of cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, the wash fluid of the brain that removes metabolic waste, including the amyloid plaques linked to Alzheimer's. How to perform the 4-7-8 breath with spinal elongation. 1. Sit comfortably in a chair, spine straight but relaxed. 2. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach, below the ribs. 3. The spinal elongation. Inhale deeply, and as you do, gently try to make your spine feel longer, like you are growing taller. 4. The breathing. Inhale quietly through your nose for a count of 4. Feel your belly expand. The hand on your stomach should move. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale completely through your mouth, making a gentle whoosh sound for a count of 8. Repeat this cycle for 5 full minutes. This is the 10-minute routine's most critical component. The consistent, deep, rhythmic breathing has been shown to induce neurogenesis in the hippocampus. This is not just maintaining your brain, it is rebuilding it. The subtle spinal movement ensures that the optimal mechanical forces are present to enhance CSF flow. This is true brain anti-aging. You have just learned the 5 most powerful, science-backed exercises to future-proof your brain. The total time commitment is just 10 to 15 minutes a day. Here is your actionable daily plan. 1. Morning, 5 minutes. Start your day with exercise number 1, 4-7-8 breathing with spinal elongation to drop cortisol levels and oxygenate your brain. 2. Midday, 3 minutes. Take a short break to perform exercise number 5, cross crawls, to reset your focus and cross-lateral coordination. 3. Evening, 7 minutes. Before dinner, combine exercise number 3, dual task challenge, with exercise number 4, single leg stand with eyes closed. Then finish with exercise number 2, opposite hand drill for 2 minutes. Remember the principle: novelty over repetition, challenge over comfort. Your brain is the most adaptable organ in your body. It is waiting for you to give it the right stimulus. Don't wait until cognitive decline becomes a crisis. Start today. If you found this scientific breakdown helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Share this video with one person you care about who deserves a sharper, clearer mind. And tell us in the comments, which of these 5 exercises felt the most challenging for you? We read and reply to every single comment.